战略必将遭到全面和彻底的失败。
主义的火炬照亮人类前行之路，不断崛起、不断扩大的国际影响力。
Wang Yi did not call the assault an invasion, but suggested that China might be willing to act as a mediator in peace talks. Well, I'm joined now by Victor Gao, the Vice President of the Centre for China and Globalisation in Beijing. Thank you very much for joining us. I don't know whether you were able to hear the last interview, but with one person who is trapped in the city, terrified of running out of food, with a young daughter. Surely this is something that China should condemn unequivocally.
Well, China cares a lot about the sufferings of innocent people, civilians in particular, in Ukraine. We pray for their safety, and we hope the war will be brought to an end as soon as possible, and peace will descend back in Ukraine. And this will require negotiation and diplomacy at a very, very difficult time as it is. And China has good relations with Ukraine on the one hand, and with Russia on the other hand. Ukrainian foreign minister called the Chinese foreign minister the other day, and the Russian foreign minister called the Chinese foreign minister the other day. So we have good communication with both Ukraine and Russia, and this is very important when the world is being divided into two, and the war is deteriorating and may be on the brink of a major disaster in terms of humanitarian disasters. We hope sanity will come back and no civilian lives or minimum civilian lives will be lost.
We're hearing already reports that 2,000 civilians have been killed. The numbers obviously are difficult to verify by the BBC, but is China in a position to put pressure on Vladimir Putin to stop this invasion, to bring about a ceasefire?
Well, first of all, Russia apparently has made its position very clear. They want to prevent any NATO membership for Ukraine. They consider that as constituting very large threat to the security of Russia. And they basically declared, over my dead body, if Ukraine wants to join NATO. Now, this is a very sensitive issue. I think China has emphasized that the safety and the security of any country should not constitute a threat to the security of another country.
But that doesn't justify this. Even if Russia does have security concerns about Ukraine in some distant future joining NATO, that does not justify this invasion, does it?
Well, I think we need to look at each case on its own merit. Right now, I don't think we need to, launch any emotional outbursts, because at this particular moment, they may not help resolving the war in Ukraine. Good offices are indispensable right now, and quiet diplomacy will be more important than loud condemnation or pronouncement of your position in the public, because eventually it will require the utmost diplomacy and good offices to convince.
Do you know whether that is happening? I mean, is the Chinese government, the senior people within the Beijing regime, are they talking to Moscow and urging a withdrawal and a ceasefire? Do you know whether that is happening?
As I mentioned, the Ukrainian foreign minister spoke to the Chinese foreign minister the other day. Mr. Lavrov of Russia spoke to Chinese foreign minister the other day. So this is firm indication and confirmation that China is talking to both Ukraine on the one hand and Russia on the other hand. China's position is very clear. While China does not have a direct stake in this war, China wants to see peace restored, war stopped, ceasefire declared, civilian lives being protected, and this will be good for both Ukraine and Russia. At this particular moment, we care more about civilian lives in Ukraine, because in a war like this, loss of civilian life will be inevitable, and we do not want to see any pressure on the civilian lives in Ukraine to continue the fight, because they will become fodder in this senseless war. And I think it is much better to save as many Ukrainian lives as possible and restore peace through diplomacy. This is what China cares about, and this is what China definitely is committed to do, to help.
China abstained, though, on a motion in the Security Council against Russia's actions. Does China have the ability to stop Putin if he is determined to continue?
As I mentioned, President Putin and Russia have made it very clear over their dead body if Ukraine wants to become a NATO member state. Now, this is a very fundamental thing because we
do you think that if you think that if Ukraine said they were not wanting to join NATO, then that would be the end of it?
This will be a big step in the right direction, I personally believe. I personally suggested that Ukraine may want to become a permanent neutral country like Switzerland in Europe, and this will really remove a lot of problems involving Ukraine. For Ukraine to be very much in the Western camp vis-a-vis the Russian interest will be a dead end.
Even if that neutrality was a possibility in the past, surely now, with this invasion, with innocent civilians already being killed, with people worried about starving to death potentially in these cities that we're seeing, surely that is impossible now because Ukraine will want and need to be defended.
You are absolutely right in a sense. I think in impossibilities, we need to create possibilities. This is the task for the people. This is the task for statesmen. We need courage, wisdom, vision, and resources in order to achieve this. If we leave the Ukrainian people just to the war itself, they will perish. Their country will be destroyed. Their civilization may perish. This is not what China wants to see.
Is China worried, do you think? Are you worried about this escalating further, about Putin going further into other nations, or about any kind of nuclear threat here?
I don't see any reason for Russia to move beyond Ukraine because Ukraine is very, very extraordinary and special as far as Russia is concerned. And I think right now the most important core issue is no NATO membership for Ukraine by whatever stretch of the imagination. Because if Ukraine wants to move in that direction, we are talking about mankind being pushed to the brink of a nuclear war. And we are talking about the possibility of human species being wiped out from the surface of Earth. This is no child's play. This requires really all the deep thinking and wisdom and careful preparation for the eventual peace to be recreated involving Ukraine. We should not add more fuel to the fire, which is now very, very dangerous. It may engulf the whole world. It may become another world war. So let's pause and figure out where is the right place for us to apply all our wisdom and courage to calm down the situation, to de-escalate, to save as many people over there as possible.